Hey guys, it's Simgie and I'm back with another speed build. This time, I've downloaded a sim from the gallery and I decided to build her a home. I'm going to take a different spin on the commentary. There's a different video of just the speed build and background music if you prefer that. And without further ado, sit back and relax with a cup of coffee, tea, hot chocolate, while I tell you the story of Brie Gouda. Brie Gouda grew up in a creative home. Her mother a pianist, her father a painter, and her a singer. The house filled with music and art, it was all Brie has ever known. Her mother welcomed creative ideas, and her father exercised her brain to think outside the box. When a problem arose, Brie's father would say, "Okay, and how do we fix that?" And little Brie would come up with a solution. Then her father would say, "Okay, and what else?" Solution after solution, little Brie had started babbling of all the radical things to solve the problem. Eventually, Brie became a cheerful girl, viewing the world as half full. She knew that when a hurdle came her way, there was always a way to climb over it. Then, a dream blossomed within Brie as she grew up. Inspired by her parents' passion for creating art and feeling connected to the soul, Brie, with self-assurance, dreamed of becoming a singer-songwriter. In high school, she took her guitar to the streets after school to busk and hopefully earn fame, be found by a music producer like Justin Bieber had. But living in a small town, that was highly unlikely. Yet day after day, she continued walking that same spot, carrying that old guitar, and sang. She sang songs that tapped your feet, songs that touched your heart, songs that made you smile from a memory. Brie became known as the street singer. She grew popular and her neighborhood loved her. They gathered around their porches and listened. She serenaded and loved it. But not many were fond of her. Brie's newfound popularity circulated in her high school and they mocked her behind her back. Brie thinks she can make it as a singer. Brie is such an overachiever. That's why she has no friends. Brie sings so much, she's lonely. They laughed at her for her skill, her talent. How can teenagers be so shallow? While the girls cared too much of how they looked and why their crush wouldn't look back at them, Brie focused her energy on her plan. When high school is over, she will move to a small apartment in the city. But she could only earn so much from tips in her guitar case. Discouraged, Brie packed up her guitar and looked for a job. Her days were filled with school, her nights were filled with work. Brie had no time to do what she truly loved. One night, she was so tired and disheartened, she cried and cried and cried. It grew so loud that her father heard her while he was painting. He put the paintbrush down, walked to her room, and softly opened the door. It creaked, and he asked, "What's wrong, sweetheart?" "I don't think I can do this, Dad." She wept. "Why not?" Brie sniffled and took a breath. "The kids at school were right. Singing is just a dream. You have to be lucky to get in." Her father chuckled and said, "One thing is to be lucky, another is to work hard. I've seen you put your mind on things, and you don't give up easily." Brie paused and put her thought on her father's words. Her heart lightened, and her mind eased. She knew her father was right. Going towards a destination is never a straight path. It's crooked, rocky, and filled with obstacles. This was one of them. Brie smiled at her father and hugged him. As they let go, he ruffled her hair and said, "Rest up, soldier." That was the first night in a series of tear-filled nights. Brie slept peacefully. After that night, Brie stared at the path ahead of her straight on. The days turned to weeks, weeks to months, months to years. In all that time of blood, sweat, and tears, Brie finally graduated high school. She went back to her job and sent in her 2 weeks' notice. The manager, a puffy and stout old man, ran after her, huffing. "What do you mean you quit? Still trying to be a star?" "It's my 2 weeks' notice." "So, you quit? You can't quit. There's a reason it's called a star. It's hard to reach." Brie smirked and finally said what she's been holding back for years. "Maybe for you." After her last shift, Brie saved enough for deposit and first month's rent. She scoured every flea market and secondhand shops for furniture to bring to the city. Now she was ready to find an apartment to call home. One was cramped, had noisy party-going neighbors, and what was that smell? Was it cheese? Another had mold on the ceiling. Upon further inspection, it looked like a science experiment to raise Cthulhu on land. And don't get me started on the landlord. His eyes followed Brie like a portrait watching her every move. It might have been glass eyes, but Brie was too uncomfortable to be able to sleep at night. And then, the perfect one. The kitchen sink leaked, the bathroom like a prison cell, and the wallpaper and flooring could do some work. But Brie loved it. It had been on the market for a long time that when Brie agreed to take it, the landlady stepped back and asked, "Are you sure?" "Yes!" Brie squealed. Overjoyed by the news, the landlady proposed to fix everything so it is to Brie's liking, but at a price. Brie looked down to think for a second. That would mean she had to wait another year with the extra cost and time to fix. She was so close to the end that if she stretched out her arm, she could reach the finish line. After some time, Brie looked up and nodded. As she went back home, her smile widened. Brie picked up her guitar again and sang on the street. She was finally able to do something she loved. She filled her days with writing songs, thinking of lyrics, keeping her head in the clouds after years of having her feet on the ground. Brie's heart pounded with excitement and her stomach knotted with anticipation, but her mind filled with adventure. Then it was time. Brie, with her parents beside her, stood by the front door of her apartment, the key held tightly in her hand. Her mother gave her a reassuring hold on her shoulder. As Brie walked towards the door, turned the key, and opened, her heart leaped. It smelled of new paint, the sink was quiet, and the sun hit perfectly against the wall in her favorite color, pink. They spent the day loading in furniture, decoration, and plants. The new apartment echoed of their laughter. As the day darkened to the evening, Brie's parents announced they had a gift. "You've worked so hard," her mother said, hugging her daughter to hide the tears welling in her eyes. "Lenny, the manager from across the street, just texted me it arrived. He's on his way up." Brie's father smiled and waited by the door. As if on cue, the doorbell rang, and like a little girl, Brie sprung up from the couch and ran to the door to open. She couldn't believe her eyes. It was the keyboard she's always wanted. When they placed the keyboard to its new spot, it was the cherry on top of a wonderful day and the piece that tied her new home. The end. So that was the story of Brie Gouda. I thought of building the apartment with a budget of 20,000 simoleons because, to Brie, it is a starter home. And it's also perfect for your inspiring singer-songwriter sims as well. Brie Gouda was created by the user Just Cereal. You can download her in the gallery, and you can download this apartment too. My user is SimplySimgie, like my YouTube name. And if you like this video, give it a like. Comment your thoughts on this style of commentary. Did you enjoy it? What improvements would you give? And subscribe to see more storytelling speed builds and funny gameplays. And I'll see you in the next video.
Tiru. Bakinja Maflus is pas upon a foo. Beam, stem, steel.